Imagine two friends. Both decide to run a marathon 6 months from now. The first person immediately posts online, "Big news! I'm training for my first marathon." Friends congratulate them. Family members cheer. Hundreds of likes roll in. The second person tells almost no one. They quietly wake up every morning before sunrise, lace up their shoes, and train without posting a single update. 6 months later, who do you think is more likely to cross the finish line? Psychologists have studied something fascinating about this. Sometimes, simply talking about a goal gives your brain a small sense of accomplishment before you've actually earned it. The praise feels rewarding. Your mind begins to relax, as if part of the work is already finished. That's why many brilliant entrepreneurs, athletes, writers, and high achievers prefer silence over announcements. But here's the surprising part. Keeping your plans private isn't about being secretive. It isn't about distrusting everyone. It's about protecting something incredibly valuable, your focus. Because every dream begins as something fragile. Just like a tiny seed doesn't become a giant tree overnight, your goals need time, patience, and protection before they can survive outside opinions. The world is full of distractions. Some people will support you. Some will doubt you. Some will laugh. And some won't even realize they're draining your motivation. Today we're going to explore why smart people often choose silence, what psychology teaches us about protecting ambition, and how keeping your plans private can dramatically increase your chances of success. By the end of this video, you may completely rethink who deserves to know your next big goal. Point 1. Talking too soon. Tricks your brain. Here's something most people never realize. Your brain loves rewards. Every compliment, every congratulations, every "I'm proud of you." They all trigger tiny bursts of dopamine, the chemical linked to pleasure and motivation. Normally, dopamine should come after you've completed difficult work. But when you announce your plans too early, your brain can receive part of that reward before you've earned it. Imagine telling everyone you're writing a book. People immediately say things like, "Wow, that's amazing. I know you'll do great. You've always been talented. It feels incredible." But here's the problem. Your brain doesn't always separate praise for intention from praise for achievement. Instead of motivating you, those compliments can make you feel satisfied too early. It's almost like eating dessert before you've cooked dinner. The excitement fades. The urgency disappears. And suddenly, skipping today's work doesn't seem like such a big deal. That's why many successful people keep their biggest projects hidden until they're already making real progress. They don't depend on outside applause. They create their own motivation by focusing on action instead of attention. Ask yourself this question. Have you ever felt incredibly excited about a goal, talked about it for days, and then slowly lost interest before you even started? If so, you're not lazy. You're human. Your brain simply accepted a shortcut reward. The smartest people understand this psychological trap. So instead of announcing every plan, they quietly let their results speak first. Because results create respect. Announcements only create expectations. Point 2. Not everyone wants you to win. This next point is uncomfortable. But it's true. Not everyone celebrating your dreams actually wants them to come true. That doesn't automatically make them bad people. Sometimes it's insecurity. Sometimes it's fear. Sometimes your growth reminds them of the dreams they abandoned years ago. Think about a bucket filled with crabs. Whenever one crab starts climbing out, the others pull it back down. No crab plans this. It's simply what happens. Humans can behave the same way. Suppose you tell everyone you're starting a business. One friend says, "Only rich people succeed." Another laughs and says, "Be realistic." Someone else reminds you about all the businesses that failed. Notice something. None of these comments actually help you improve. They simply plant doubt. And doubt is dangerous in the early stages of any dream. Your confidence is still growing. Your habits are still forming. Your belief isn't strong enough to survive constant criticism. That's why smart people carefully choose who gets access to their goals. They understand that advice should come from people who have experience, not from everyone with an opinion. Think about famous inventors. If they had listened to every critic, many world-changing ideas would have died before they ever had the chance to succeed. The lesson isn't to stop trusting people. The lesson is to become selective. Share your plans with mentors. Share them with people who genuinely want your growth. Share them with those who challenge you to improve, not those who secretly hope you stay exactly where you are. Remember this: opinions are free, but your dreams are priceless. Don't hand them to everyone. Sometimes silence isn't hiding, it's protection. And protection gives great ideas the time they need to become reality. Main point 3. Silence gives you the freedom to fail, learn, and improve. Have you ever noticed how hard it is to make mistakes when everyone is watching? The moment people know your plan, you feel pressure, not just to succeed, but to succeed quickly. You start worrying about what they'll think if things don't work out. So instead of taking smart risks, you begin protecting your image. And that's where growth slows down. Here's the truth that smart people understand. Every meaningful goal comes with failure. No business succeeds without setbacks. No athlete wins every competition. No author writes a perfect first draft. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of the process. When your journey is private, you gain something incredibly valuable: freedom. Freedom to experiment. Freedom to change your strategy. Freedom to admit this isn't working without feeling embarrassed. Imagine you're learning to play the piano. If hundreds of people expect you to become amazing in 3 months, every wrong note feels humiliating. But if you're practicing quietly at home, those mistakes become lessons instead of public failures. That's exactly how progress works. The smartest people don't hide because they're afraid. They stay quiet because they understand that growth is messy. A caterpillar doesn't announce the exact day it will become a butterfly. It simply stays inside the cocoon until it's ready. Your goals deserve that same protection. Sometimes the strongest progress happens when nobody is clapping, because real confidence isn't built by applause. It's built by showing up every single day, even when nobody notices. So the next time you're tempted to tell everyone about your next big idea, ask yourself, do I want attention or do I want results? Because those two things don't always lead to the same destination. Point 4. Quiet focus is a superpower in a noisy world. Look around for a moment. Everyone is sharing everything: what they bought, what they're building, what they're planning, what they'll start on Monday. We're living in a world where announcements are everywhere, but consistent action is surprisingly rare. That's why silence has become so powerful. Think about a magnifying glass. When sunlight is scattered, it warms the ground. But when it's focused into one tiny point, it can start a fire. Your attention works the same way. Every time you explain your plans to another person, answer their questions. defend your choices, or respond to their opinions. You're spending mental energy that could have been used to actually make progress. Smart people protect that energy. They don't feel the need to convince everyone. They understand a simple truth. People who are busy building don't have much time to advertise what they're building. Notice how many successful people disappear for months. Then suddenly they launch a company, publish a book, release a product, or completely transform their lives. To outsiders, it looks like success happened overnight, but it didn't. It happened in thousands of quiet moments that nobody ever saw. Those early mornings, those late nights, those lonely weekends, those moments when quitting seemed easier. Success is usually invisible long before it becomes visible. That's why discipline often looks boring. There's no audience, no spotlight, no standing ovation, just daily choices that slowly change your future. And here's something worth remembering. Noise attracts attention, but consistency creates success. If you learn to enjoy working in silence, you'll develop an advantage that most people. Point 5. Let your results do the talking. There's an old saying, work hard in silence. Let success make the noise. At first, it sounds like a motivational quote, but it's actually powerful psychology. Think about two people. The first constantly says, I'm going to get rich. I'm starting a business. I'm changing my life. Months go by. Nothing changes. Eventually, people stop believing them. Now think about the second person. They barely mention their plans. Then one day, they quietly announce they've launched a successful business. People are shocked, not because they talked about it, but because they actually did it. Results have a kind of authority that words never will. You don't need to argue with people when your actions already prove your point. Imagine someone who says they want to get healthier. Instead of posting every workout, they simply keep showing up. Weeks pass. Months pass. Then one day, everyone notices. They look stronger. They have more energy. They're more confident. No explanation is needed. Their transformation speaks for itself. That's the power of quiet progress. It removes the pressure to impress others. Instead, it shifts your attention toward becoming better than you were yesterday. And here's the beautiful part. When your identity becomes based on action instead of announcements, you stop chasing validation. You stop asking, do people believe in me? Instead, you ask, did I keep the promise I made to myself today? That single question can change your entire life, because the people who accomplish extraordinary things aren't always the loudest. They're often the ones who quietly keep moving while everyone else is busy talking. And by the time the world notices, the work is already done. Here's something to think about tonight. Somewhere in the world, someone is quietly changing their life. They're studying while everyone else is scrolling. They're saving money while others are chasing status. They're exercising before sunrise while the world is still asleep. Nobody is applauding them. Nobody is posting about them. Nobody even knows what they're building. But one day, the results will appear. People will call them lucky. An overnight success, naturally gifted. What they won't see are the hundreds of silent mornings, lonely evenings, and difficult choices that made that success possible. Remember this, the loudest person in the room isn't always the strongest. The smartest person often doesn't need to announce their next move. They simply make it. So if you're working toward a dream right now, protect it, nurture it, be patient with it. You don't owe the world constant updates. You owe yourself consistent effort. And maybe the greatest surprise you can give everyone isn't another promise. It's a result they never saw coming. If this video helped you see the power of quiet discipline, leave a comment with one word: silent. It tells me you're choosing action over attention. And if you want more psychology-backed insights that help you build confidence, stronger habits, and a better life, subscribe to Wise Habits and join us for the next video. Until then, stay humble, stay focused, and remember, the strongest moves are often made in silence.